much more in tune with the intro video and my internet this week. Remember last week, we were all out of sorts, but not this week. We are on it. We don't have a 3-hour show to talk about this time around. We have a much more normal showtime to discuss here, but very excited to dive back into ROH. Of course, joined by SP3 here, but before we get underway, we're going to ask you to get in your super chats. No Humper chats at the beginning of the show. I'm going to try and change that because I think Joel has access to them, and I don't like the inconsistency. I don't like being left in the dark. We're going to get Humper chat access on here. So get in those super chats for now, though, if there's anything you want to talk about ROH related. This episode in general seems like we're working toward Final Battle, which hasn't been announced, but we can kind of make an assumption that it's going to be on the way. Please leave a thumbs up on this video as well. It definitely helps people find us in the algorithm. Not everyone's always seeking out ROH content. So if they are, give them a little bit of help. Get us on those recommended pages. Give us a thumbs up on here. And we'll also remind you to subscribe to FightfulSelect.com. So much fun back there. You have Shawn's backstage report, which was full of stuff this week. You're going to want to check that one out on FightfulSelect.com. The backstage report and Ask SRS have gotten merged into one because they were such similar shows. So combining those streams for efficiency's sake, you're also going to want to join that Discord. I know there's a lot, especially this week, that's been happening in the Twitter/X space. A lot of people don't want to be on there as much in light of recent events. So hop into the Discord. It's a super fun, easy place to hang out and talk about wrestling. There's an Ask SRS channel on there where you can almost get Shawn on demand. He is quick with those, but so much happening. And in fact, after this stream, Alex Pulowski and I are going to be doing our own AEW stream because he got gypped on watching AEW yesterday for the NXT review with myself. So kind of by request, people were just looking for somewhere to hang out this week. So we're throwing in a bonus stream back there. But before we get to any of that, we've got ROH to talk about. And SP3 with the 2 hours under his name there. I'll tell you what I could watch 2 hours of, and that's a Gabe Kidd interview. That guy is entertaining as hell. You scored a good one there. I'll let you tell people what they can look forward to with that. But how you doing? What you up to? Let us know.
I am glad to be here on a Thursday, one of my favorite times, one of my favorite days of the week, because I get to, chop it up on the True Hill Heat YouTube channel with Jimmy Macaram about Dynamite. We actually reviewed NXT, and it was funny because it was kind of like how you and Alex do the Crown Jewel review, where one person watches the show and has to tell the other person about it. Because Jimmy was like, I'm not watching. He was like, you get me for 2 hours a week. He's like, I'm not watching the other show. So I had to describe to him NXT. And I literally was like, there was a whole 30-minute segment of nostalgia from Bubba Ray Dudley into Nunzio. I was like, I hated every minute of it. So I'm going to go back and watch you and Alex talk about it as well. If y'all were with me on that, because I was like, the show started off nice and good. The hardcore match with Jada Parker and Lola
really
Vines,
good, yeah.
Wesley and Javon Evans, even though they set Javon Evans up for failure every single time, you've got to do twisting into RKOs, then he has to jump across the ring. Why y'all keep doing this to this kid? Like, come on.
I think it's him. I think he's a perv for those spots, and he's so close each time, like so close, but the frog splash that was basically a coast to coast came up just short.
I was like, he went for a 5-star frog splash. He ended up getting 3 stars. But that was the good way to kick off the show. And then Shawn just went, you know what? I'm going back to the 90s to do some drugs. Here's Bubba Ray Dudley. Here's Nunzio. But, yeah.
I liked the Nunzio match better than I like Bubba Ray, if we're being so for real.
That's true.
Like,
Nunzio
he sold the ending. He wasn't like in the greatest ring shape, but he did enough. It was a super fun through line with Tony D. So that I was like, of all the nostalgia pops, it's really weird that Nunzio I think was probably my favorite. But my God,
That's fair. But no, I thought yesterday was a fun night. It was very reminiscent of like 2020 Wednesday Night Wars instead of what we got on that Tuesday Night War, which was both shows were not that good. But yesterday was a good time. So I'm glad to be here on a Thursday. I got to talk about that earlier with Jimmy. Then I had my interview with Gabe Kidd,
Hell
the
yeah.
NJPW strong openweight champion. You can check that out on the Takedown on SI YouTube channel that drops tomorrow. I believe my article talking about the backstage fight with Kenny Omega that Shawn had the exclusive footage of earlier today, dropping the video of what went down. So we got to talk about that, get his initial reaction, because I interviewed him like an hour after Shawn dropped the footage. So he said his phone was blowing up. So we talked all about that. My article talking about his thoughts on the Kenny Omega backstage fight and a potential matchup maybe in the Tokyo Dome. We also talked about that, and maybe official challenge. I don't know. You'll see in the article. Check it out, si.com. But I've had a fun week on talking about stuff from si.com. I got to chop it up with the guys over at the Black Announce Table podcast.
Very
they did
cool.
An interview with me about my top 20 greatest WWE wrestlers of all time. I got to see the boys over at Going In Raw. They did a video on that. I got to chop it up a little bit with Steve in the DMs because he thought my real name was auto-generated, which was funny until someone in his comments was like, "Oh, Steven Larson, who the hell is Sid Pullard III?" And then the person also put SP3 saying, "Seriously, guys?" And then Steve responded, "Oh, SP3, we love him."
That's incredible.
I love how that's the second time someone told me they saw that article and did not know it was me because it has my full government instead of SP3.
That's it.
I love it. I love
people cannot catch on to the initialisms with that. Well, Gabe Kidd, always fun. I did a Media Moves breakdown for him on my YouTube channel, which I just dusted off. So I'm going to plug my own shit up front here. I'm going to tell you a little bit about what I've got going on. This week I released 2 videos, and it's part of my 5 Things series. The first one was 5 things that I thought WWE could be doing better from a company-wide perspective, kind of through a marketing and PR lens. Not creative, like nothing to do with the on-screen product. And then I dropped my AEW one of the same kind of nature earlier today. Later in the month, I'm going to talk about 5 things that each company I think is doing extremely well at. So starting with the criticism, we'll be closing the month with the improvements. But head over to Miss Kate Fabe and subscribe over there if you're not already. It would mean the world to me. That first video is closing in on 2,000 views. That was very unexpected. Because
I saw that.
First one back in a long time.
It popped up on my timeline. I was like, oh, I love it. I ain't even have to watch it. I just clicked on it, pressed the like. I'm gonna watch it. I put in my to watch for sure.
I'm in the queue.
I'm sorry.
I'm in the queue. No, dude, I wish I were able to support my friends more, but like between, you know how it is, because you do about the same ballpark as many shows as I do. It's like you have to live your life at some point, and you have to have other hobbies at some point. Like it is really hard to stay on top of everything that everyone you love is doing. But speaking of things people we love are doing, I'm not going to tell you to leave this channel, but I'm going to tell you to open up a second screen if you want to see Shawn losing his mind at the Bengals. Okay, he is doing a DraftKings YouTube takeover. He's on their YouTube channel, which is really, really cool. He's also on his own at Common Bengals W. I'm assuming they're going to lose because they are not in a great way and they are playing a tough team today. So that makes me as a Steelers fan very happy. So go watch Shawn fall apart. Just fall apart. It's very funny when he does. I promise you'll enjoy it. I've seen it before myself. So you're going to want to see that. But really cool that he has this opportunity to go to DraftKings YouTube, do a YouTube takeover there, do reaction content, which isn't something he normally does. So head over there and support him. But we're going to finally dig into this episode of ROH. Please leave a thumbs up. Get in those super chats as we kick off the show here. I had to ask SP3 at the beginning of the show because the stream flips over to the beginning. So sometimes my sequencing, I get nervous that I'm wrong about. They had announced that Josh Woods was in the main event and then Katsuyori Shibata and the Butcher closed. I was like, that didn't kick off the show. But when it flipped back over, I was like, did it kick off the show? Am I out of my mind? But that is not what happened. We started with Taylor Promotions and the Infantry. We saw the merger from last week. defeating Nice and Smooth, Tom Mitchell, and Trace Parker via pinfall with that 2 to the head on Parker. I am so glad to finally see some movement. Well, we've been talking about this ad nauseum for weeks, if not months. Like the Infantry having something to do that would be substantive, that were paying off the losses that they were getting. And we've talked also about Shane Taylor Promotions not having a promotions as much as a couple of guys. Like there is not like a nucleus to this. We saw them merge forces. We had this really beautiful callback to Trisha Dora being the linchpin between the two groups, because that's a callback to a different era of ROH, which I thought was so well done. And we're finally getting some consistency around this. It's not necessarily what I love, because we've now twice seen Shane Taylor call out for title shots. But if the idea is we're going to get this whole STP angle, getting some wins before he gets there, that would be really nice. It would be nice to have some consistency of everybody in Shane Taylor Promotions getting wins, Lee Moriarty having that championship already, to make it feel like there's some kind of not Blackpool Combat Club style takeover, but like a force to be reckoned with here on ROH. And you start that with things like this, a strong tag team win against two people that aren't even in the locker room, right? Like you expect this to be kind of a quick win for the Infantry here, but this was a perfectly fine way to kick off the show to me. I thought it was a solid match, and I like what we're getting from both Shawn Dean and Carlie Bravo, especially Carlie Bravo, where he's so magnetic and has so much charisma that when you have to then flip and harness it as a heel, it has to look different. And I think he's doing a really good job of that so far, because he's very easy to get behind because his personality is so vibrant, right? So I love that he's been able to kind of flip that switch and still be a very charismatic character, but now kind of with this new attitude.
Yeah, they've really done a good job from like using the same type of vibes that Infantry had as baby faces and naturally making that into a heel persona. And I think what goes a long way, even though I really like the Infantry theme, is coming out to the Shane Taylor Promotions theme. It kind of gives it a whole different feel for who they are. And I like the fact that they switched up their finisher here with the 2 to the head instead of the boot camp, which is their usual kind of finisher when they were baby faces. Now they have the 2 to the head because they're a little bit more violent, a little bit more aggressive in the ring, and a little bit more cocky as well with Carlie Bravo. I thought Carlie Bravo kind of showed his confidence that he had as a babyface is now turned into cockiness as a heel. So I thought that they really presented their characters very, very well here. And I resent the fact someone in the chat said they were Hurt Business minor league. There is the difference between black factions. Not all black factions are made the same. Like Hurt Business are businessmen. They're businessmen. These are the thugs on the street. These are the thugs who are just beating the people up, and they're taking names. They're taking names and they're moving on to the next one, and they're trying to establish themselves. Hurt Business is the establishment. That's the difference between the two. If y'all wanted a difference of the two, these are the thugs on the street who are trying to establish themselves, and these are the guys that own the clubs, owned all the stores. They are for another reference, they are the ghost. They are a ghost from Power. They're ghosts from Power, and these are the thugs on the street who are the corner boys. Like this is the difference of the two with the Hurt Business and Shane Taylor Promotions.
My litmus test for stuff like that too, I'm always like, I always feel like if I saw Shelton Benjamin across the street and he was in a bad mood, I would probably keep walking. But if I saw Shane Taylor across the street and he was in a bad mood, I would cross the street. Like that dude looks like he is going to murder. So his facial expressions and the tone of his voice are so perfectly wrestling intimidating. Like they're so I just don't want to mess with that guy. And you're right in that the Hurt Business to me reads as something as more strategic. They're out there in the suits. They're there to do business, right? The Hurt Syndicate, we should be calling them now. But there's a really big difference between these guys are going to F you up, which is how I feel about where Shane Taylor Promotions is, and there being like a little bit more craftiness and the priorities even being different. Like, this is a violent faction. The Hurt Business is looking for championship gold and ways to get there, I feel like. So,
and I like the kind of the mission statement that MVP said at the beginning of Dynamite this week, where he said, we're trying to enrich people's careers like we have enriched each other's careers. So if you take a business card, you can become, you know, your wildest dreams in the industry. But if you reject a business card, we're gonna whoop your ass. You're gonna hurt you. We hurt you. I love the theme music.
The theme's great. The theme is so good. I also want to give credit to Nice and Smooth on the other side of this. Really good people for these guys to beat up. Like, they seemed very like fresh faced and new and like perfect baby faces for someone to be a little nasty to you too. So credit to them as well for the work that they did on this show.
This overall was a good night for the unsigned talent. But yes, I may have a new favorite wrestler who might be behind beef. Not my favorite, but one of my new favorite wrestlers was an unsigned talent on the show.
Okay. I like it, guys. Leave a thumbs up and get in those super chats if there's anything that you want to talk about. If you want to say hi to me and SP3, who's wrapping up his time in Europe. He's going to be back stateside soon enough. Not soon enough to see the Yankees lose in horrific fashion. Not
It's like yeah, dude, like they just wanted to hurt me. Like you had the Yankees lose, then you had the election. It's just like, do I really want to go back? I live right by Yankee Stadium. Like,
your IWGP heavyweight champion is British. Like, there's so much good momentum on your side of the pond right now, SP3. What are you doing? I just
talked to the NJPW strong openweight champion who's from England. It's like,
I don't know what you're thinking coming back here that soon, but we need you back. That's what I think. I think when you left, all of the superpowers left with you, and we need you. The city needs you. You're our Batman, SP3. But let's move along to SAP versus LSG and Shawn Donovan, who I've seen fight each other a million times. Very good chemistry together in this. You get the La Reinera from Angelico onto LSG. That's a singles match that in my head I booked as a dream match. I'm very familiar with LSG. He's a friend of mine and an outstanding talent around this parts. He's so great, and I think he gets called on as an enhancement talent a lot because of this. Incredibly versatile, can work with just anybody. His footwork is fantastic. Like that was one of the things that I noticed about him first is like the foundation that he is built on. There's a lot of really, really good things that just you can throw him in there with anybody and he's going to make them look great. These guys don't need a lot of help making people look great, especially Angelico. But this was some good stuff. SAP is one of those ones that we talk about, like kind of pick a lane. Like we saw Angelico in the Pure division. We've seen them as a tag team now, multiple, like feeling like they're being built in the tag division, and then suddenly they're not, kind of stuff. So would like some clarity around there because I feel like Angelico is like one of the most underrated talents that they have there. I think he's so smooth in there. But this was a perfectly, as they say in Simpsons world, perfectly cromulent match. I had no issue with this. What did you think?
It was a fine match. I like the double submission finish for SAP here. The only thing I would have, like, if I could nitpick or add anything, I would have said they do like a post-match promo or a backstage promo afterwards where they be like, hey, we're a little bit upset. We were the victims of Shane Taylor Promotions when the Infantry turned heel last week. I would have liked some follow-up to that, and we have somewhat of an ongoing story because this can now feel like if they never follow up on that, this just feels like a squash match or an enhancement match for like no reason. Like I would like the reason like immediately on the same show, like they got the win to get back momentum, but now they're focused on getting revenge on the Infantry or something like that.
Agreed. I think some clarity around where they're going would be good. And I also think SAP is like a great team to have to deal with all of Shane Taylor Promotions. Like that would be a fun way to go for for what they're capable of in the ring, and especially for what Serpentico does as far as eating a lot of punishment. I think it's pretty all right. But we've got a super chat from Meet Norvis that I'm going to pull up here because he's talking about my Steelers. My Steelers catching strays, okay? I'm watching Shawn's stream. I'm trying to be supportive. I'm not a Bengals fan. I'm tuned in, and he's saying, like, oh, the Steelers are only where they're at because they had an easy schedule. They're going to get slaughtered the second half of the year. I'm like, what'd he say F me for? You know what I mean? But me, Normus, rooting for the same thing over here. Hello, bruvs. Kate, my Commanders are playing the Steelers this week. I'm already prepping meat. If my guys win, will you take a bite of chicken tendy? No. But I will celebrate with my Impossible chicken tendies, which are a staple in my freezer in my vegan era so far. So I will do that if my Steelers win. If your Commanders win, we'll figure something else out. But the animals are too cute, man. I can't eat them anymore. I can't do it.
Oh, look at that. I'm proud of you.
Thank you. They're just too adorable. I love them too much. I can't do it. But we have what I think is one of the better Matt Taven promos that I've seen in a long time. I actually like this more than most of the stuff that he was doing, I think, properly in the Undisputed Kingdom, where we have Lee Moriarty cutting a promo backstage where he vows to show Taven that he is the person running the Pure Division when they go at it. And then a really nice response in this episode from Matt Taven, who says that he's unlike any other wrestler because he's only spoken facts while everybody else is based on opinion. He talks about him already being a quadruple champion, a Grand Slam winner already. He just has this one title to go. And he says that Moriarty, that he was looking at him like a puzzle because the ROH Pure title was the only belt missing in that collection. So this was just like one of the more rooted Matt Taven promos, and it had such clarity around what he was going after and why, that it was just so simple and perfect, and I thought pretty well delivered by him. I'm not always the biggest Matt Taven gal. I feel like for me, sometimes what's special about him doesn't always come to the forefront as immediately as I prefer in some other wrestlers. But this, I thought, was some of the best promo work I've seen from him, like, since ROH of yore, like years and years ago. What did you think of the promos that we got from Lee and Matt Taven here?
Lee was solid with what he had to say, but I agree. I think Matt Taven had the better of the two promos, because when Matt Taven has like a focus or story that he's able to tell, I think that he's really underrated at that. Both him and Mike Bennett are really underrated when they have something to really sink their teeth into. And this was reminiscent. I think the last time we got like this type of focused Matt Taven promo was in his rivalry against Vincent, or even before that, when he was going for the Ring of Honor World Championship. Like, when he has something that he could sink his teeth into, if he has a goal that he's just trying to achieve, that's the best Matt Taven. Matt Taven, who's in Undisputed Kingdom and coming off the Devil storyline, that's not the Matt Taven that we can really enjoy and invest in. But this is, like, he has a story, he has a mission that he's trying to complete, and honestly, I want him to now become the Pure Champion based on the promo. I think that Lee Moriarty's the type of guy who can have more than one reign as the Pure Champion. He could drop the title to Taven and then probably win it back down the road, and we still got 2 months between now or a month and a half. I don't know. They don't announce it, so I don't know how long we got until Final Battle.
We don't know.
Could be 6 months. Could be a year. Maybe they skip Final Battle. I don't know. They haven't. We're in November. It's the second week of November. Why haven't they said anything? I don't know. But hey, we are coming to Final Battle. We got still a couple of weeks to fill in. We can have this match on next week's show. Taven wins to set up a rematch at Final Battle. You could do it like that if you want to, but I really want to see Matt Taven complete the puzzle that he put together in this promo.
You know, sometimes I think a lot of people, self-included, forget a promo is supposed to promote the match. It's that simple, right? That's what it's short for. It's not a time to just talk a bunch or put yourself over and talk about how great you are and this match that's coming up with your opponent. It's to promote the match and your journey getting there. And to me, that's what I loved about this, because I kind of want Lee to retain, because I think STP is just getting its feet cemented. properly here. But I wouldn't be mad if Matt Taven won it now. I want to see the match. Promos are supposed to make you want to see the match. So often promos miss the mark on that. It's really that simple. Yeah. And that's what this did. I feel like that's probably why I love the pure division in general so much, is because it's so match focused. And that's my favorite thing, right? So part of the beauty of having that pure title round is it's about the title, it's about the match. You don't have to build out a lot of superfluous stuff around it to get people invested. So that's one of those things where sometimes I'll watch a promo and I'm like, it's to promote the match and maybe want to see the match. That's why I'm such a big Eddie Kingston fan. Every time that guy opens his mouth, whether he's saying redeem these nuts or whether he's talking about how he's going to bury someone in front of their parents alive, that guy's always making me want to watch the match. So very simple, very clean, very easy. And it did its job in building toward what we're getting. So guys, get in those super chats, leave a thumbs up. We do have the TNA post show on the back end of this, still dealing with that Bound for Glory fallout a little bit. I know Mike Bailey was in action defending that X Division title. So you're going to want to hear the thoughts on that because he was defending it against Moose. I have so many questions. So many questions about what he was doing defending an X Division title against Moose. But hey, it's not my show. Not my circus, not my monkeys. I don't even have to review it. It's the one TV program I don't have to review. So
we'll see what Cresta and Joel feel about that.
That's going to be one to stick around for. For sure. But here on ROH, we have Sammy Guevara with Dustin Rhodes defeating Preston Vance with the Go to Hell. I should probably change it if he's going to be rocking this babyface thing. The Go to Hell sounds way too heelish. And it is a go to sleep. Sammy's looked really good since he's come back. The character stuff is a little textbook in a not great way, like a little templated, I should say. And that's okay. He's been away for a little bit and he hasn't been a face very much in his career in AEW. So he's probably trying to cement his identity as a face and explore what that looks like and what that means. So I don't mind that. The in-ring with him is never the issue. He's always stellar. He's always doing great work there. So no complaints about that. This match is perfectly fine. He was one half of a tag team champion. Last week, Preston Vance had a tag team partner. This week, he did not. Feels like they're doing this out of order a little bit, but from the match perspective, it was perfectly fine. And then after the match, finger snaps.
Love that he's getting haunted by finger snaps.
I love it. It's going to live in your brains. So good. And then you hear a dig what I'm saying. I love the Righteous. I love Vincent so much. This is all perfectly fine. It at least is still building to the eventual tag program. So the post-match kind of salvaged the why is this happening-ness for me a little bit. But what did you think of Sammy versus Preston and the post-match that we got here?
This was a good little big man versus little man matchup where it kind of configured where Sammy is playing the baby face to Preston Vance, more power game and the bigger competitor of the two. So I think this worked out well. It wasn't a great match, but it was solid for what it needed to be. And Sammy picking up the win. Just call it the GTH. Don't call it the Go to Hell. Just abbreviate it and stop calling it Go to Hell. But he hit him good. He hit him right on the top of the head with his knee. He hit it perfectly. So I was impressed with Sammy showing off the power, lifting him up on his shoulders, and then hitting the move perfectly. So it was a good finish to the matchup. And then I just loved the Righteous haunting them with finger snaps and turning out the lights, just playing those mind games, which led to Sammy and Dustin having to react in a similar way that the Righteous did last week with attacking them from behind later on in the show. And I like the follow-up of last week where we didn't instantly, like I said, I think I talked about that last week where I was like, it makes me feel like this match is going to happen the next week. I like the fact that we're getting more build. It feels like a matchup that you can get a couple of weeks build as, and you can possibly do Righteous versus the Sons of Texas at Final Battle.
I think you're right. I think that'll be a perfectly fine tag program. I just want the Righteous to win really bad. That's the thing is I really want the heels to go over in that so much. But this is good. And something I've been critiquing across all of wrestling more so in WWE land right now, but also honestly in AEW too, freshening up the playbooks of how we're telling stories. They've gotten so stale. You want to talk about NXT last night? Both of their top champions got pinned. And back-to-back matches. Like, they have no versatility in how they set stuff up. It feels like both companies right now, all their playbooks have 5 plays in them, and they just keep rotating them out. The structure of these recent Dynamites, I'm like, I feel like I'm watching a SmackDown. It takes 10 to 15 minutes to get to a match. We've been frequently opening with a stable that takes everything over, that comes back later in the show, if not bookending it. Like, things are feeling very formulaic. Doing stuff like having the Righteous haunting Sammy and Dustin, just little things like that make it feel like such a fresher program. So dug that a lot. Also dug this commercial with the Outrunners and their fanny packs. Did you have anything you wanted to say? And will you buy me one for Christmas, SP3? I'm putting you on the spot.
Oh man, okay, I'll fit you in behind my missus and my twins. I gotta get
them fanny packs. You should be buying 6 fanny packs.
Why not? I think they call it out here a bum bag or something like that. I think they call it They
don't call it so much more fun in England. They have the best phrases for things.
It's a bum bag. I've
heard
yeah, a bum bag. I'll have my daughter say it when she wakes up. She says she has the English accent. I don't. But yeah, I like the Outrunners. I just enjoy them. It's cool that they started off as a Ring of Honor act. So the only presence that they have on the show anymore, because they moved up to the Beak Leagues, is commercials like this.
Yeah. It is kind of funny. We saw, the same thing almost happened with MXM, right? They came back around last week, but they were here and then they were just gone. These teams that have caught fire. For me, I prefer the in-ring a little bit more on the MXM side, just because Mason is such a freaking beast and Mansoor is very smooth. I feel like the Outrunners, youngest man alive, late 80s, early 90s gimmick, they work to the style of that, which is not my favorite thing. Like, it's a lot of scoop slams and body slams and not a ton else. And I'm an in-ring gal, but they're incredibly entertaining. They play to the room that they're in. I can't hate on them for that. It's not my favorite way, but that does not mean it's not very, very over. It holds a tremendous amount of value in their world. But it makes sense to me that they connect more with the AEW product than the ROH one, because historically the ROH one has been work rate, like kind of shoved down your throat the most.
That is true. I just hope, we did get some build to a collision storyline on this show. If we're doing that now, Tony, we need some MXM and Johnny TV segments on Ring of Honor TV, please. Please,
let's hope so. We got a chat from Matthew Hooks, a Fightful sponsor every month for our NXT post show, a Fightful Awards sponsor as well. Please support Matthew Hooks at hookedinvoiceovers.com. But he's asking, when Athena moves up, who would you sign to replace her? I don't know if you can replace Athena and what she's done in this company right now. But if I'm signing women off of the independents to ROH, J-Rod and Maggie Lee definitely spring to mind. High End springs to mind. Viva Vance springs to mind if they're available. I would like to see them work within the roster that they already have. I am a big Leila Hirsch advocate, and I would love to see her get to step up into that role a little bit. I don't think you can replace Athena, but I think you can develop more important top of the card women on the show. But to say replace Athena, it's like she's been the promotion for over 2 years now. Like, it's kind of crazy how much this became a women's focused brand. So I like to see the women that are there get elevated. I'm looking at Maggie Lee. I'm looking at J-Rod. I'm looking at Viva Van. I'm looking at High End. I am a big proponent of Becca or B3CCA as well. I feel like it boggles the mind that NXT has not come calling for her. Like, I would love to see her in ROH. I would love to see her signed anywhere. But, like, that woman is everything that NXT tries to manufacture people to be. She does naturally and perfectly already. But if they're too silly to sign her, sure, stick her over here. Let's get a pop star on ROH. Any independent women's talent that you want to sign out, or anybody within ROH that you think might step up into that role once Athena gets called up?
The first person I thought of you mentioned was Hyan. I think that she's someone that any of these companies would benefit in bringing over. Like you said, I want to see more of the ladies that are already signed to
Trisha Dora!
AEW get the elevation. Trisha Dora being the top of the list. Queen Aminata, I'd much rather her be a top star on Ring of Honor than jobber to the stars on AEW. So I think that they had the right method with Queen Aminata, how they were building her up beginning of the year, especially in the ROH Women's TV title tournament, and then her build to the matchup with Athena. And now, ever since then, because that match with Athena went so well, she's kind of become a jobber to the stars on AEW TV. I'd much rather her be put back on ROH and be a star you're grooming for the future. When you have a spot to fill in AEW that you can give her a push, then she can get back on there, but put her back on ROH for the time being. And I think that Billie Starkz has been groomed to take the place of Athena. I don't think that she will fill those shoes because, like you said, Athena was the draw, the person that people have been watching Ring of Honor for. And not many of us, it's me and Kate, but we for sure are minions. So she's the reason why we are here. We come and do this review most shows because she has been so integral to Ring of Honor and its continuation over the last 2 years. So there's not going to be any one person that replaces her. It's going to be a group of people. So if you got to sign one talent from the independent scene, I think that should be Hyan, but you got to see the elevation of your Billie Starkz, your Queen Aminatas, your Red Velvet after a good reign with the TV title, getting into the main title picture, Leyla Hirsch, Diamante after their Texas Death Match. They need to be elevated, and either one of them gets the TV title and one of them is a mainstay challenger for the world title. So yeah, these are the ladies that I think that it's going to take a group effort to fill the shoes of Athena.
Yeah, and I think the talent's there. I think we learned that during that tournament. Like, it's never been a question of who's there. It's been how these women are organized on the program. Matthew Hook's also saying Zeta Steele and Brittany Brooks, both great talents. Zeta Steele just got that WWE ID tag, though, one of the first in that class. So it seems like that'll be the priority for her. But Brittany Brooks, also a fantastic talent. But moving along to Lee J and the Philly Marino experience. This is what you would assume it would be. Man, EJ and Nduka just is built for this, huh? Like he is meant to be a star. He looks so assured in who he is as a wrestler in this promotion, on this brand, etc. Like he knows exactly what he's meant to do out there. And we've talked at length about how much Lee Johnson has improved. He's been off screen for a while because it felt like they ran out of pathways for him. They ran him up the flagpole for the TV title. They ran him up the flagpole for that main title. If he's not going to win anything, it's like, what the heck do you do, right? So I think this gives them a really, really good place to kind of slot in. I like them working as a tag team, especially with what's going on the main roster. You can see avenues for them. You can't see avenues for everyone in ROH on the main roster, but you look at what's going on with Swerve and the Hurt Syndicate. You look at how vocal Swerve has been about these, especially EJ being possibly a part of this. Like, he looks like $1 million and he looks like he knows what he's there to do. Not the Philly Marino's day. Sadly, this was not meant for them to show out. This was not for them. But what did you think of this match? And was possibly your new favorite in this match of the unsigned talent?
No, not yet.
No,
not
okay,
yet.
okay.
We're definitely gonna get to that. But yeah, Lee J, I like them as a team. I really do think that their future is somehow getting involved in this Swerve versus Hurt Syndicate rivalry, because I have to think that AEW has some foresight, and they did that video package before Wrestle Dream with EJ training with Swerve for a reason. and that eventually EJ will be the backup for Swerve against the Hurt Syndicate, and then eventually turn on Swerve. That's what I want. That's what if I had the pen and I was booking this thing, I think that EJ is someone who would fit in well with the Hurt Syndicate.
There's so much money to be made in that turn too. Like there's so much of watching that relationship blossom, him turning, and then whatever MVP promo we would get that would get cooked up out of that. I feel like you're printing money. You're printing money at that point, but. He's just very cool, quite frankly, and very good at this. So looking forward to seeing what goes on from there. But we have an emergency mem, and I'm glad that we get to see these because as a minion 0069 or 690069, excuse me, I feel like I should be in attendance at these mems. Like, and I'm sure you do too. So I'm glad that they're televised because it feels like it should be a Zoom call situation. Like I should get to know what's going on. Somebody should be taking meeting minutes if we're being like so for real. I feel like Lexi Nair could probably pull that off. But Athena says she needs to expand her talents internationally before they're interrupted by Billy Starks, and which felt a little weird the way they went about that part of it. But Lexi Nair asks Billy Starks if she is going to apologize to Athena, but Athena is bamboozled because she was told Athena was going to apologize to her. And we get Lexi Nair revealing that Athena was now that Billy Starks was in minion timeout. My apologies. I put Athena in my notes where I should have written Billy Starks in my notes because Athena is justified. So we have Lexi Nair basically patching this all together, it feels like, to confuse what's going on here. Billy thinks that Athena apologizes to her. Athena would never apologize to Billy Starks. She's literally never done anything wrong in her life. I don't know why she would be apologizing to Billy Starks. That makes no sense. So it's kind of fun because it's passed off as pretty innocent here, but Lexi Nair, just like with this sneaky, possibly manipulating the situation, or was there just genuine confusion? I don't know, but this continuing to move along. I liked what we got here. Perfectly fine with this. This was fine. The dissension seems to be well paced as far as like where they're going with it. Like it feels very much like we're getting Billy versus Athena. And I feel like the timing is going to work out in their favor if that's the plan for Final Battle here.
Yeah, I think you think that if that's the play for Final Battle, we gotta get through like a couple of weeks. They have to kind of get this train moving and put their foot on the gas a little bit more because Billy is kind of estranged from the Mims, from the minions right now. So if we can get more anger, the anger that she gave in that celebration, we need to see that further being developed in the next couple of weeks. Like next week, maybe she gets more angry because she feels like Athena is supposed to apologize to her, and then we can have another big in-ring segment similar to the one that set up last year's Final Battle main event with the graduation, where we can have her fully turn against Athena here. So I think there's ways that they can develop this, but I think by the end of November, we have to firmly have Billy against Athena. Like we can't have her still be in the minion understudy anymore, and she has to really go out of her way to finally put herself in position to be the one to dethrone Athena.
I agree. And, there were rumors surfacing that there's going to be an ROH TV deal. We did not find out anything where that might be. I don't know if it's going to be within the Warner family or elsewhere. Would it make sense if it was in the Warner family? Because this could be like a true TV. They could take an hour away from Practical Jokers and throw this up there. That's all I'm saying. Like it wouldn't kill them. Plus, that's additional content for Max, and we know that they have been wanting content to load up Max with. So that's so easy. You could just move the whole library over there. It makes a whole bunch of sense. My reason for bringing that up here is, will that affect the timing of things? Do they want Athena going into this as champion so that maybe there's a non-finish the first time we do this at Final Battle, and say they go to TV in 2025 is that inaugural episode where Billie Starkz wins and you're kicking off this new era with an incredibly dominant champion making a young, very easy to like, very likable Billie Starkz in the process. So I'm intrigued to see what way they go with that, if those rumors are true, or come to fruition. I should say they're credible rumors, but it takes a lot to dot I's and cross T's in TV world.
That is something to take note of and pay attention to, because I think that we'll get the people who are initially upset if Billie gets the shot at Final Battle and she comes up short again. They'll be like, all right, this Athena reign is never going to end. But if they are going to get the deal, then that is probably the better place to make the title change, to have a big, impactful first show, like you said, with the longest reigning 2-year champion, putting over the youngest Ring of Honor world champion in history in Billie Starkz.
I also have to give a lot of credit to Billie. The way she changes up her look has been really impressive. Like, we saw the Billie Starkz that we've kind of known and loved from the indies for a while. Then when she went heel, she changed up her hair. She changed up her body language. Today she came out for this meme and she had like way less makeup on. And it feels like that's all those things feel very intentional, and like the almost transitioning back into the look of the babyface thing by being a little bit more of a blank slate here and a little bit more natural. Like I just appreciate when people take character details like that into account. So good stuff on that. And also some more great stuff on this episode. A lot more women's action. We got Diamante versus Rachael Ellering that we're going to talk about. We've got the return of Leyla Hirsch on this. But Diamante getting the win over Rachael Ellering, who's always shouting out the WNBA. We love that. We love our women's sports around this place. But you have the Crossroads. Nice to see Diamante still in the mix. I hope that she is on this track because we post-match have Red Velvet attacking Diamante. I feel like that could be a really fun mix of ingredients for a good title match. I'm glad that she's been getting reps consistently still, because I think she's an underrated talent in this women's division. She has something that is so entirely her own than anybody else under the AEW umbrella in Diamante, especially with Mercedes Martinez specifically, not being as active right now. But what did you think of this? I thought this match was super fun. The verbal squish always cracks me up. But what did you think of what we got here in the post-match after with Miss Red Velvet coming down?
I really like this match being made on this show, because if you give it a second thought, this is not a match that you would automatically say, oh, Diamante is obviously going to win this, because Rachael Ellering has picked up a bunch of wins. So this is kind of like you have an established talent versus another established talent. That's very rare on this show in general. So I think that was nice to see, and I like the match as well. Like you said, Rachael Ellering is showing more and more kind of character with the squish and the stuff like that, and just being fired up, and she is good at getting the crowd behind her. And I love Diamante has really kind of really shown her confidence after the Texas Death Match. You could really feel like she has really gained some confidence in herself and her ability to be a star, and she's picking up wins, getting that momentum, and getting ready for another big Ring of Honor Women's TV title match. I like the post-match and further developing that rivalry with Red Velvet, and I feel like this is another rivalry on the show similar to Sons of Texas versus the Righteous that you can get a couple of weeks of build, and this can be your Ring of Honor title program.
Yeah, there has been
Final Battle.
There has been a nice trend back to what I think is fundamental to the DNA of Ring of Honor, which is clean wins, determining challengers, and helping assist those stories. It's that simple. That's all we want. That's all we want from this brand, really. But you mentioned that building confidence for performance. Not everyone has such confidence in their performance, SP3. Some people
This is true.
Need a little bit of help. Some people, when they're up against a proving ground match, they really don't have the confidence that they're going to last the time limit. You know what I mean? And for those people, I say, BlueChew.com code Fightful.
My friends, you know we always care about your performance at Fightful, and we want to keep that performance at a main event level. And you can with Blue Chew and the code Fightful. The same active ingredients as Viagra and Cialis, but in a much more affordable option. Blue Chew is ready whenever you are or whenever you're not. Helps give you that extra motivation. That way you can make sure that your performance is at a championship level. You go online to bluechew.com, and when approved by our online physicians, you get that confidence, you get that performance, and you get it shipped straight to your door. No awkward conversations with the doctor, no waiting in line at the pharmacy, all of that stuff. You use that code FIGHTFUL, get your first shipment free. That's how confident that they are that they're going to make you confident. What do you have to lose? BlueChew.com and the code FIGHTFUL.
BlueChew.com, code FIGHTFUL. We appreciate their support of Fightful. We appreciate all of our sponsors' support on Fightful. And if you want to support something here on Fightful, the Fightful Awards are a great way to do it. It's $100 for a spot. You get access to, last year we had 35,000 views. That's, I think, going to be way up from them because Shawn's X account has really, I think he was at like 200,000. He's now well over 300,000 at this point. We have 500,000 followers between his account and the Fightful account. Denise Salcedo is also a co-host of those awards, so you get so much exposure to what you're getting, but you get a product description, you get a 30 to 90 second on-air read, you get exclusivity in your category if it's available. So you really do get the best bang for your buck with those Fightful Awards. Another thing about the Fightful Awards, they're subscriber voted, which I think is something that's an advantage for fan voting because you're not just going to have AEW Rocks 4792 and Roman Reigns Avatar WWE Forever 89. We're just everything of each brand. Like if you're subscribing to a wrestling service, you probably have more likely than not. You probably have like a bit more objective of a beat on things. You of course have your proclivities. Everybody does. But there's going to be, I think, a little bit more of a controlled environment than a lot of other fan awards. So some good stuff and another reason to subscribe if you haven't already. But we will move along in this show to Leila Hirsch defeating Tina San Antonio with that running knee strike. So nice to see Leila Hirsch back in action. I think she's fantastic. Like I think the first I really saw of her properly on the indies was shortly before she got signed to AEW. She had done the GCW Collective. I think before it was even called the Collective, it was just Joey Janela's whatever. And she was just suplexing dudes that were 10 times her size, I swear to God, like it was nothing. And I was like, who is? And that was probably the start of me calling her Little Lady Taz. That's what she reminded me of. She was Little Lady Taz. And she's really just such a fresh foundation of ingredients that you don't get a lot of, especially in women's wrestling specifically. Like she just has so many of these women on ROH have alleys that are all their own. And I really appreciate that. And Leila is definitely one that I miss. She had those two great death matches, which are not seemingly her wheelhouse, that she really showed out in. And then she got injured, but glad to see her picking up where she left off with the momentum here. What did you think of this? And are you a Leila stan like I am? I love this woman.
Hey, I always enjoy Leyla Hirsch, just her ability to show off, technical ability, the suplexes as well. And man, that knee in this matchup, that came out.
Yeah.
I was like, damn, she's
back.
Her.
Yeah.
She's really back. She's really back. I thought they were going to do more kind of like these mini promos that they've been doing with her before she had her in-ring return, but I was happily surprised to see her, back in the ring on this show. And she's someone that feels like they should be in the title picture. I don't know if she's going to be, the challenger for Athena. That might, the way that the kind of the story with her and Billy has slowed down, you might be onto something with them waiting for the TV deal to put Billy in the position, and you can easily slide in someone like Leyla Hirsch to be a challenger for Athena at Final Battle. That would be interesting to me, coming off of her big victory at Death Before Dishonor, and to really kind of adjust her back into the big title picture. That would be a great move by them. If you want a replacement, you want to hold off on Billy for when you get, if and when you get that TV deal, Leyla Hirsch would be the top candidate in my opinion.
I think that would be a very wise call. And if not the first candidate, like I think you could do a really fun like I feel like she plays well with heels or faces. Like she's not so firmly in one direction or the other. It's just how much she wants to hurt you with her submissions. I feel like based on who she's facing, like her and Billie Stark's program would be very fun. I would not be against that at all because they're from such different worlds, but assured enough in those worlds that I think working together we could get some really, really fun stuff out of. But hey, this match happened because Ishii looked at Jericho a couple weeks ago, right? We got Ishii beating Aaron Solo with that beautiful sheer drop brainbuster. Like Ishii is such a pleasure to watch all the time. I feel like there's not a ton to say about this. I do think we'll probably get, like you said, it'll be Ishii and Chris Jericho facing each other around Thanksgiving because they did that last time. So they'll probably run that back, especially now that this Fight Without Honor on AEW television is out of the way.
Hey, I thought it was fun, but very much I think me and you felt vindicated because we said after the ladder war, why did Ishii come out after the matchup?
Yeah.
So I have to double down on that because you then had Ishii beat Jericho in the Fight Without Honor. That should have been the way you set up an Ishii versus Jericho match instead of Ishii coming out to no reaction. And it takes away from the fact that you just made Mark Briscoe lose the title, where that's the everlasting, that's the kind of the feeling that you came out of the ladder war was feeling like, oh, why did they take the title from Mark Briscoe? Why the title is on Chris Jericho? And then you just thrown in, hey, Ishii over here, Mark Briscoe's friend who didn't show up for him during the matchup, even though Jericho had tons of help. It just made no sense. It makes no sense, and it makes even less sense now that you actually did set up Ishii for a title match by having him beat him here.
Yeah, it just exposes that more that he had no friends come out for no reason, and then one did come out after for no reason. Like it makes that angle look all the more stupid. But moving along here, the Righteous getting attacked by your ROH tag team champions at ringside, leading to a brawl. From all that snapping, man. From all that snapping. We have an army of security guards that come out to separate them here. This is perfectly good. This is fine. This may happen before a pay-per-view at this rate. Like it's been cooking for a couple of weeks now. I don't think this one needs a super long build. They're haunting them for God's sake. So unless Final Battle is going to be a pop-up show in 2 weeks from now, I think you could see this happen beforehand. Then maybe a rematch on Final Battle, or they just move on. But I'm just glad to see the Righteous back on my television, SP3. I've missed them.
I've missed them as well. This was a fun little brawl to further hype up the matchup. But yeah, this extra, the fact that they've done multiple segments 2 weeks in a row, it does make it feel like they are rushing through this a bit because they're going to put it on in like next week or the week after. But I'm just begging y'all. Y'all learned the lesson on AEW to announce matches in advance. Why can't y'all do it on ROH, announce matches on the actual show for the following week?
It's so simple and would make such a big difference. It really, really would. It really, really would. But I mean, to your point though, I don't know if they know what they're doing with these episodes in that time period. We talked about this before we went on air, and I alluded to it before. They said Josh Woods was in the main event. Ellering Abadi went out of his way to say, well-deserved, he belongs in the main event. And then we ended up with Shibata and Butcher. And that also wasn't on the initial list of matches that they released. Like when I went to do the setup for this stream, that wasn't on the rundown of the matches they initially released. That came after. So it feels like they just kind of threw that in there for some reason. But here we have Nick Wayne defeating Fancy Ryan Clancy, who I'm very familiar with, at a Lance Storm's Trading School. A lot of nice shout outs to them. Also some TMDK shout outs that were mentioned around that television picture, which that just warmed my heart because sometimes Ian Riccaboni is like my own personal Mr. Rogers. Like he's bringing up Big Josh multiple times. You know what I mean? He's bringing up TMDK, talking about Slex and Robbie Eagles. But Nick Wayne in action is something we definitely need to see more of. Now, I'm a big fan of the stable, the patriarchy. Not so much a fan of the concept of the patriarchy this week, but I'm a fan of the stable, the patriarchy. But I feel like the one criticism I have with it is we just don't have the same excitement for Nick Wayne and the other wrestlers that are in it who are supposed to be getting over being under Christian's wing here. It's the one thing I actually do give to the learning tree is people want to see Big Bill and Brian Keith wrestle. Like, they are so excited they're on screen. Now, the counter to that is everybody wants to see them wrestle no matter what they're doing. Put them in something that's actually good, which is a very fair point. But from effectiveness of a stable that we're looking at, I got to say, like, that point kind of goes to the learning tree because people want to see them. And I feel like there's not the same excitement, but that might start to change now that we have like this Kip Sabian angle that is now playing here. We do have Kip Sabian and Mother Wayne at ringside with this Ryan Clancy match. But I thought Fancy Ryan Clancy was great in this. He loses to the Wayne's World, but it was nice to see Nick Wayne in action. And can we get more of it, please? Like, he really is a young phenom, and I don't think he has enough reps for my personal liking.
100% agree with you that they need to put him on Ring of Honor and have collision matches like every week. He was wrestling all around the world as a 16, 17-year-old, and then he comes to AEW when he turns 18, and you used him like less than his previous year before coming to AEW. Yes. That's weird. That doesn't make a lot of sense there. But Fancy Ryan Clancy was the unsigned talent that impressed me the most. That might be in my top 5 favorite wrestlers unsigned to a big promotion because he stood out. He maximized his minutes. He got big chants from this crowd, the fancy chants. He was just moving really fast. I love the first exchange that he had with him when he was like doing the kip up and doing the little exchange with the arm drags and stuff. That was really cool. And he's a polished wrestler coming from Lance Storm School. You expect that from him, but he was able to kind of stand out in this enhancement talent role. But 100% agree with you with the learning tree patriarchy comparison. But I will say, man, patriarchy does get a point because Christian Cage is like the best character ever. Like, I'm sorry, he made me like the Hook storyline with that one promo he did on Dynamite. I was like, they closed the loop on everything. They made sense of the Grand Slam when Kip Sabian takes the pen from him. He now makes Kip the favorite son, and now Nick Wayne is in the kill switch position. That was great. I was like, that was a missing element to the patriarchy because of kill switch's health. Prayers and thoughts to Kill Switch. Hopefully he comes back. So then it will be completely out of whack because now Christian has 3 sons that he only could give attention to one at a time. So I love it. And I love him saying that he had to take out Taz because he wants Hook as his son. He just Christian Cage reminded us that it was just the end of 2023 into early 2024 where he was easily the best heel character in wrestling. And he reminded us of that on Wednesday.
Yeah, and I got to say, too, if we're comparing those factions, it's only fair to also point out that the people in Christian's faction are not known for lighting up the mic necessarily, where Big Bill has unprecedented charisma especially for a big man. Like, the archetype for a big man is usually so specific, and he breaks out of that entirely. Brian Keith cuts a great promo, too. So they just have more wiggle room, and they genuinely just have more experience. On the Kill Switch side, his whole thing is he doesn't really talk. He's a dinosaur. Nick Wayne, not the strongest promo in the world. So there's a reason for that imbalance as well, I think, there. But guys, we are coming down the home stretch. Leave a thumbs up on this video. We've got Joel and Cresta coming up to talk to you all about this episode of TNA, which from the rundown didn't look like the most meat on the bone for an episode that I've ever seen. But we're going to let you hear about it all from them. We do have the Shane Taylor Promotions segment backstage where I got to say, you guys know I love Carlie Bravo and Shawn Dean. I feel like it was a bit of an overreaction. I feel like they didn't need to beat up 5 security guards for not knowing where Dustin Rhodes was. I felt like that was a little much, but they call out Dustin Rhodes saying that he has stolen property and that they were here to regain it. So that is good. I like that it feels like we have an idea of what we want to do with our tag team champions beyond whatever's going on with the Righteous, like that we are lining things up. I'm so glad because I love Shane Taylor's promotions. I love Shane Taylor as a promo. I think he's one of the best in all of wrestling. And I love the Infantry. So, like, it feeling like there's things for them to do. I know that sounds like such a low bar, but it was just them getting 50-50 or eating losses for such a long time. Now it feels like we have a stake in the ground for a stable that's going to be running roughshod around here. And I like it, but these poor security guards, man.
Hey, all they had to do was speak up, like the one security guard who was able to stand and finish that segment on his feet. So, I mean, if they were doing their job like that one security guard, they wouldn't have got messed up. But I like this. This kind of doubled down on the comparison and the description that I gave to Shane Taylor promotion. They're just a bunch of thugs. They want a title that Dustin Rhodes has. Dustin Rhodes has too many, to be fair. We've been saying this for months. So it's about time that Shane Taylor says, you know what? I'm going to start with the 6-man tag team titles. That's the titles I was most known for. That's the titles that I earned my name on. And I'm going to get that. And then that's going to start the Shane Taylor Promotions taking over the company and taking all the gold.
Yeah, and kudos to them. I had mentioned it in the match itself about the transition from face to heel with the Infantry. I feel like before they were people you want to hang out with. Now they're people I want to be on the good side of. Like, I don't want to mess with these guys. I still kind of like them, but they're coming across as badasses, and that's definitely necessary for this. We do have our throwback match, which was a lot more forgivable. Not in a 3-hour episode.
And not 23 minutes.
Not 23 minutes either. And one that was relevant to the program here. It was Shane Taylor Promotions. This was with Khan, who people probably recognize. Moses and Shane Taylor defeating the Mexa squad of Bandito, Flamita, remember that guy, and Ray Horus. This was a perfectly, there's not like a ton to talk about. It wasn't such a classic that we need to spend time on it, but much less offensive than last week's placements and time. What did you think of having this throwback here?
Smooth transition from the backstage segment into that. And it basically, if you weren't aware which title of Dustin's, because Dustin had so many, if you weren't sure which title Shane Taylor was aiming at, the throwback match basically told you which one it is. It's the one that has his tag team partners that haven't left Texas yet.
The Van Eriks who are stuck in Texas. They can't leave. They're just stuck there. They can only drive around the state. They can't get on a plane to the Van Eriks. But we move on to AR Fox versus Josh Woods for our main event. Wait, no, it's not. They just told us it was the main event. But I loved what we got here. AR Fox winning with that 450 splash. Begging, praying, whatever booking gods there are. I don't know if I got to go to St. Patrick's Cathedrals and start lighting candles or whatever. But Josh Woods needs to win matches and be a contender for a title. Like, he is way too much of a badass. I always say, like, of all the people with tag names, like taglines for themselves, the technical beast is probably A, one of the most badass, and B, one of the most perfect descriptions that you could ever get from a guy. AR Fox, though, from like a establishment point on the show, does kind of outweigh Josh Woods in that way. So I'm not mad about it, but I just can't watch Josh Woods eat that many more losses because I don't find it believable. He reminds me of Tom Lawler a little bit, of just like, my only complaint in your wrestling is that I have a hard time believing that you would lose because you come across as such a fucking badass in the ring in like a way that not a lot of guys do, because it feels like there's a very, very real foundation to what they're doing. But I loved a lot of what we got from this match. It would have been a great main event if they let it be. But after the match, you have Nick Wayne attacking AR Fox with a fisherman suplex, and Fox, fisherman suplex on Fox before hitting the dragon suplex. So some good post-match in this as well. Feels like we're setting up something between Nick Wayne and AR Fox, which makes sense, kind of going back to former connections of things. But this should have been the main event. I don't know why it wasn't. I don't know why we threw this other thing, but loved this. I loved this. I didn't want either of these guys to lose.
They're already scheduled for a match on Collision, so that would have been the perfect way to close the show. You do the plug for Collision, Nick Wayne versus AR Fox, and that's how you end the show. It was just so confusing. I was like, why isn't this
Just
the end?
edit the main event into something else. Like, put it on right before this. I don't get it.
I did not get this, but yeah, it was a pretty decent matchup. AR Fox is always fun. He has the smoothest jump up to the ropes that I've seen since Rob Van Dam in the 90s, and the way he hits the 450 splash always looks beautiful. And it was a nice little difference of styles against Josh Woods here. So a good showing in what should have been the main event of the show, and Nick Wayne attack at the end makes sense because they have a rivalry that's built into a match on Collision. Something of substance, not our main event.
Which was Shibata winning over the Butcher with a penalty kick. All right. I really don't have a lot more to say.
I think the last time I saw Shibata was when he lost to Jack Perry, and I was just like confused. I was like, okay, Shibata's back. Cool.
I'm glad.
Okay.
I love him.
I'm glad. I'm always glad to see Shibata. I'm glad he's
Commentary
wrestling.
was like one of the best pure wrestlers. I was like, enough. He's had his time in the pure division. All right. We don't need these pure wrestling perverts monopolizing everything. Let's get some new people in there, and let's get some new people on the stream because we're wrapping up ROH right now. I must ask you a question, SB3. Are you so excited to see the beautiful, wonderful Cresta? Because I know I am.
Let's be my mic over here.
Hey! And also Joel's here, but Cresta's here.
Yes, perverts.
I mean,
What up, TNA crew? How we doing?
No Shave November. I wanted to get involved, so I wanted to. I look like a pirate.
November.
You know,
November.
That every week.
Yeah, why not? Why not?
Are you
Hell
gonna
yeah.
run every single day? Are you gonna stream like every day? You're gonna have that stream going. You're gonna have
Every
that.
time I'm on camera on this channel, you'll see me with a mustache, and I'll try to keip it interesting.
Respect.
Well, you know, if you're gonna commit to the bit, you may as well do it everywhere.
Listen, I don't get paid enough for that chicken shit bit.
All I'm saying is, if you're gonna do it, you got to commit fully. Come on, grow the full beard. I want to see it fuller every single week now.
Oh, okay, that I will do. Every
All right,
week
now
we're
we're
gonna add the goatee. Then we're gonna be full Wolfman, and by the end, I'm gonna look like Cousin Nick.
Yeah,
I never want Movember to end. I'll say this as you brought up No Shave Movember. A lot of the PWA Australia talent, including Tuckman and a couple other ones over there, are doing like 100 burpees a day for the month as a No Shave Movember fundraiser. And I was like, that's awesome. If you asked me to do that, I would do 2 a day and I would pass out. And
I do
burpees
exactly
are my
one.
least favorite thing in the world. No thanks. Hard pass. No
Can
thank you.
Can I ask SB3 and Kate? Can I ask you both a question?
Of course.
What's up?
Are you two possibly in the same room and just like on opposite sides of the room? Yeah, 'cause I feel like if you take off the background in SB3 is that big lion painting, I feel like
Turn your camera.
turn the cameras around real quick.
We are not, sadly. I wish I was in the same room as SP3. He's still in England, so
Yeah, we're not even in the same continent.
Allegedly.
So-
Hey, by the way, put some respect on the Von Erich's last name because Marshall Von Erich tore his pec the last time he wrestled for Ring of Honor. And you know where that was? It wasn't in Texas. It was in New York.
Hey, why you said it like that?
vacate the titles then.
They
They've
should
done
Exactly.
it for less.
Vacate the titles.
They-
Yeah, I
They've done
agree with
it
you on
for
that. But if you're
less.
going to tell them they can't leave Texas, you may as well get it right.
They love
Well,
it.
They shouldn't leave Texas. That's why
That's
they
exactly,
would've got
they shouldn't
injured
leave
in
Texas.
Texas. Yeah.
We shouldn't have left Hawaii, but here we are. I know
Well,
my-
we will get out of here and let you talk about how was DNA today?
It was really good. That
Yeah?
final match was I was surprised, gooped and gagged.
Surprise scooped and gagged. I love it.
There we go.
There
There
we
we
go.
go.
What
Yeah,
was the
lots
last
to look
match?
forward
Moose versus Mike Bailey for the X Division Championship, and these guys beat the shit out of each other.
Okay, half of that I thought would be good.
Yeah, and then you find out who won the match, and then you feel a different way.
Yeah, Moose won, so I spoiled it. Sorry. Oh, she rage left. She rage left. She said, "I don't get paid enough for this."
She did
Bye,
what I
guys.
wanted to do.
Moose won the X title.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
It was a good
Why?
match. I wasn't expecting it. I don't know.
It's been a long
Uh,
week. It's been a
there's
long
a-
week already.
There are
I'm
a
good.
few different reasons. There's a few.
Kate said, "I've had enough. I don't want to hear any reasons."
I mean, listen,
On that note,
the new champ still has 3 years,
SBC
2 or 3 years left on his deal, and the the now former champ is currently not re-signed with the company and is due at the end of the year. So
Oh, well,
Bye,
I'll
Kate.
see him on ROH.
Have fun.
Stop.
You probably will, quite honestly. I mean, I've talked about this with Jeremy a ton. It's of all the places he can go, like Speedball is perfect for
Ring
AEW.
of Honor.
For
Yeah.
AEW, Ring of Honor, whichever one. He's just he's not going to be. I don't think. Listen, at one point he was supposed to be WWE bound, and then stuff happened. Kane and Seaman got fired, and they put a halt on Speedball's NXT move. He was going to move to Florida, had his stuff already, and then they said, "Oh, change plans," and that was that. So I don't know what his plans are. Listen, I've talked about what Speedball could or would want to do, and I'm not him. So who knows? I know that he loves what he does now and how he works now. So it's up to him.
I mean, I think wherever he goes, he'll be fantastic. However, I do agree with you that AEW Ring of Honor would be the best presentation next to TNA. He'll be able to put on banger matches no matter what.
It's the right fit, and the guy loves to work literally everywhere. Like he works everywhere. I don't even need to tell you which promotions because he works them all. If it
Probably worked it.
Yeah, exactly. Like if you think about it, he's probably worked it. As long as they're not, problematic and shitty, you probably seen him work there. So yeah, and that's up to him. I don't know if that's something that he wants to continue doing. He's a very creative person. He's a very self-driven person. He's busy. He's always busy, and so is his partner. So is Veda. So I don't know what their expectations are. That's entirely up to them. But as of right now, it's Speedball lost the X Division title, and we'll talk about it when we really do the show.
Hell yeah, brother. I'm sorry, supposed to be a pirate. Aye, matey.
Yeah, brother.
Arya, matey. I'm ready to walk the plank with you, you salty dog.
Well, believe me, I'm salty enough for everyone. Are you ready to go?
I am. My body is ready.
The 1 and a 2. Hello, friends. We're back again. It's Fightful.com, and it's time for your TNA Impact post show. It's November 7th, 2024. I am Joel Pearl. I don't use the @ anymore because the places where you typically find me there, I'm bouncing over to the other places, and they don't use the @ yet. But the blue sky and the threads, it's Joel Pearl. It's still my full name. But anyway, we're here to talk about TNA Impact and plenty more. We're on the road to Turning Point. This is the last night of taping matches in Detroit, and so Cresta stars here as she always is. Hello, wonderful. How are you?
I'm doing well. For our audio listeners, you cannot see, but I do have on a mustache for No Shave November. Was it Movember? That's me.
Good for you. You're gonna
Joel
grow
has on a
every
mustache
week.
too.
Well, I've always got a mustache. It's kind of. I mean, I didn't for a long time, and then I was like, I'm just gonna grow the full beard. It used to be like not Amish. It would just be this. Just that. Yeah, I got rid of it. I never liked having a mustache, and then I just got lazy, and here I am.
Honestly, I wouldn't fight my facial hair either. Do your worst.
Do your worst too, and drop a thumbs up on the video if you haven't already. If you're listening to us in audio form, go ahead, leave a 5-star review wherever you are. Could be Spotify, could be Apple Podcast, it could be Google Podcast. Doesn't exist anymore, but somehow maybe you've circumvented that and you want to leave a 5-star review. Go ahead, wherever you are, do that. You can subscribe to us here at youtube.com/Fightful and subscribe to Fightful Select, the best $5 in the business. We'll talk about that in a little bit. And also, of course, you can go to humperchats.com. Cresta, tell them all about it.
You're going to take your fingers and use whatever device you use for the internet, whether that be your phone or the computer. You go to humperchats.com. You put your dollar amount in the dollar box. You put your comment like, hey, Joel Pearl, are you not going to be shaving for November? Or how do you feel about TNA? It doesn't matter. We're going to read it on air. We get to keep a little bit more of the proceeds. I like it. Joel likes it. The Decepticons like it. Humperchats.com.
And of course, you can leave a super chat any amount. Get your question or statement read on the air. Similar situation, but Humper Chats gets us a little further. You can give your money however you choose. Let's talk about TNA Impact. We do have a new X Division champion. Moose has captured the title from Speedball Mike Bailey. We mentioned during the crossover, Moose has a little bit more time left on his TNA contract than Speedball does. It's entirely possible that Speedball decides to stick around, but as of right now, Moose is a sure thing. He's been a multi-time world champion. It's the only championship up until now that Moose hadn't captured. The match was a lot of fun. Speedball put it over on socials earlier today, but we have a new X Division champion. What did you think of that, and just overall thoughts on the show?
The match, the main event was really good. So I won't take anything away from it. Yeah, it's something else for the system, but Moose is the face of the franchise, so. But the match itself was fine. The show overall, from my standpoint, because I write all my notes, it was a nice addition to take a break during the Ali and Santana match. It was a good match regardless, but we already did that, girl. It was fine. However, much like last week, I understand why the structure of this, the way it was, what it was. I'm assuming they were still dealing with the two wrestlers being injured, so they had to move things around. So I'm not mad. To me, it was an inoffensive show. Everything in wrestling was fine, but the show itself.
Yeah, it just kind of existed.
Yeah.
and again, going back to what had happened, we're still in Detroit. This was the last night of the taping, or the last of the matches that were taped there. You do have to remember, again, there were two matches that didn't happen. One they scrapped, and that was the tag team title match between the Hardys and Ace of Bays because of what happened to Chris Bay, and he was injured. They're running a Whatnot charity stream for Chris tomorrow, so if you want to go check that out, you can. And then also they had to scrap a dark match, but regardless, that's why you got the Santana and Ali match from June. But yeah,
not mad at it.
No, it's fine. Listen, it was an overbooked dark match that they put together, and it was a lot of fun for the live crowd, and it is what it is. But regardless, Moose captures the X Division Championship. That was honestly that was a great main event to air. Trying to think, if they had aired that tag title match, it would have been good vibes, but I don't think it would have been as impactful, knowing that Moose would have won the X Division Championship earlier in the show. So, in terms of placement, silver lining, I guess, to Moose is winning that title, and now hopefully putting the X Division on a bit of a silver platter moving forward. Feels like Turning Point, they'll turn it into a triple threat, or Moose will get a new challenger, and they'll do Speedball versus Trend 7 because Trend 7 came out at the end of the night and did exactly what we expected, beat the shit out of Speedball because he was over Speedball last week.
Nobody wants to hear your over optimistic BS. And Trent 7 let him know, like anybody else does in professional wrestling, the old yam bag shuffle.
It's the way to do it. And you know what? I'm okay with Moose being the only person in the system to have gold for the foreseeable future. They did announce that at Turning Point, it is official. It's Edward Edwards versus Nick Nemeth. Turning Point is turning into a, hey, look at us, we're going to be at WrestleCade type of show. I'm not anticipating much other than the Reckless Elegance gaining the Knockouts tag titles. That's pretty much the only thing I'm expecting at this show of newsworthiness. We'll see if we cover it. It's the night before Survivor Series, so that SmackDown is also going to be in play as something big. Whether we do a post show, that's going to kind of it's going to depend on what the matches are like. Wouldn't be surprised if they run back Macklin and Alexander. Wouldn't be surprised if they do that either Moose triple threat, or they'll do Moose and a new challenger, like I mentioned. Tag titles will probably be against First Class, and don't know what else they'll run. Knockouts title. Masha will probably have a match. Maybe it's the Jordynne Grace rematch. I don't know.
Either way, I mean, is it bad that I'm excited for Turning Point, even though the matches I feel like won't have any impact in the long term?
You can be excited for a show. I'm covering it from a newsworthiness
standpoint. Okay, fair. That's a good point.
To me, it's like, will I watch the show? Yeah, I'll watch the show. Will we do a post show? Well, that's going to be dependent on whether or not the card stacks up and whether or not there's anything worth, hopping on and talking about. Because if we come on and we're like, okay, they did a 2.5 hour wrestling show and we did 30 minutes of talk. Well, what are we doing here?
Hanging out with your best bud, Joel Pearl. Yay.
Send you a DM and talk with you there.
Send you a DM. I don't want to be on camera.
send you a photo of my feelings anyway. Oh man. I mean, since we're midway through talking about this Moose and Mike Bailey match, we should probably just, give them the hits.
Let's get it out of the way.
I mean, the finish was fantastic. They did have Moose having to hit 4 spears to get the win is meaningful.
Yeah.
We talked about the Speedball and Leon Slater match where Speedball had to take out Leon Slater with a whole arsenal of finishes, whereas Moose had to do the same to Speedball to capture the X Division title. I appreciate that. I like that they showed that this is a strong champion being beaten by a stronger former world champion. it doesn't. Listen, I don't love Moose, but I love that they made both men look good, both in defeat and in victory. So I'll give them that. But the rest of the match, like, it was fine. It was very much Moose is a big dude basing for Speedball who can hit those, those top rope shuffle type moves. It was good stuff. What were your thoughts? What'd you like?
I want to give a shout out to Hannafin, because at the beginning of the match, he had said, I'm going to ask you the question. Are you thinking that Moose is wanting to option see it? And in that moment, I wasn't like, that wouldn't be a bad shout. It's a great way for you to weasel your way back into the main event scene. Don't think it'll happen right now, because they also put over that this is the only title that he hasn't won. Them destroying Speedball, kicking the hell out of that steel steps, bro. I thought he broke his foot. I thought Moose broke his hand when he slapped the post. That from there was gnarly. They also started the match at 9:20 or 9:30-ish. And I was like, is there another thing after this, or is this going to go the distance? This match went the distance. The counters in the last third of the match is counter after counter after counter. It's a really good match. I will say, Moose being X Division champion, right now you give a lot of young, thirsty guys a mountain to climb, and he's the mountain. And you can spin it two ways. Like, you can cash it in. So Moose like, well, I was never pinned. Or you can say, well, this is the title I've never had. I'm going to do what I want. This match is fantastic. I got to give a shout out to Moose kicking out of the Ultimo Weapon, because a lot of people don't do that. I think Moose is the second person. I can't even think of the first. I'm only saying second because I don't want to lie. You know what I mean? Like,
but they put it over too. I mean, the crowd was into it. Tom Hannafin sold it really well. It was unexpected. Again, if you hadn't read spoilers, you would have thought that was the end of the match, but they did a really good job. Again, if you put yourself in the live crowd reaction, then yeah, they did a really good job of making that look really special, which was great. I enjoyed it. Like, even I for a second was like, wait a minute. And then he kicked out and I was like, oh, they got me. And I knew what was going to happen.
Yeah, no, this match was really good. Like you had said it in the beginning, this is really a Moose power versus Speedball being fast and his psychology. This match was fantastic. My only one complaint is this whole match Speedball was selling his foot, and this is what Moose did every now and then. Like, sir, you're about as bad as Seth Rollins, and I love Seth Rollins, but Seth Rollins be hurt like this. Ooh, okay, I'm gonna do something really dangerous. Ooh, like.
Man is so unserious.
Bro, like, Speedball the whole time is limping, looking like a dog who got his paw ran over. This is Moose. I'm gonna throw you into the buckle.
He's big, he's strong, he's Moose. He doesn't need to focus on his injuries. He should probably sell.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's funny, and I look at it like you are unserious, like you said. But if I'm one of those Turbo fans, I'm taken out of the fantasy. Like, try.
I get it. Listen, I give people shit all the time for not selling enough or selling or overselling. So, like, I totally understand that criticism, and I can see that. Yeah, it's.
I'm gonna laugh regardless, but I don't think that was meant to be laughed at. You know what I mean?
Well, what's funny is just it's sometimes when it comes to selling, it's almost like the dichotomy. It's one guy is overselling or selling more than the other, and that's the balance that you and your dance partner in this case have to strike. Is if one is overselling and the other one's not selling enough, it takes away from the believability. But whose fault is it in that case? Is it the overseller? Is it the underseller? Is it, there's like a weird kind of expectation for those who are really paying attention to that stuff.
The way he hit that, the middle post, I would expect him to be dragging his arm on. He slapped that post like it owed him money.
Yeah. And you think maybe he'd be like every once in a while, maybe when he hits the spear, because he has to brace the back of the opponent, where he'd be like, oh, damn it, that sucked. That's again, it's those little details that I think Moose has. He just isn't, maybe he just wasn't using it tonight.
Moose is an unserious wrestler for all the right and wrong reasons, and I still laugh.
Tell me about it. Let's hop all the way to the start. Jordynne Grace and Masha Slamovich defeat Alisha Edwards and Tasha Steelz. The best part of this match to me is just commentary arguing over Alisha Edwards' medical clearance. You've got Hannafin just like yelling out, she's cleared, she's fine. And you got Rachael being like, we don't know. You've never touched a weight in your life. You don't know how the nerve endings of the fingers work.
I cannot. I mean, the only thing I will disagree with you here is that wasn't the best part of the match. The best part of the match was Alisha. No, was Alisha doing this like twice? Like, Masha, you know what? I don't want this. Grace? Ooh, nah. And at the end, she's like, I don't want this. As it turns out, I do. I'm so sorry.
The finish was Lish tapping out to Masha Sleeper immediately. Like Lish is in the match. Jordynne Grace goes over and tags in Masha Slamovich, and Masha just locks in that sleeper, and immediately Lish is like, I'm done, and that was it. She taps out. That's got to be the end of this feud, right? Like we got to move on. Jordynne Grace, I assume that we'll do a rematch with Jordynne Grace, and then they'll give her the Trinity exit. She'll have a match at Turning Point, a tag match or a rematch. Sorry, they'll do a rematch between Jordynne Grace and Masha Slamovich at Turning Point. They'll do a tag match at Final Resolution. It'll be the Jordynne Grace send off. If she sticks around till Genesis, which she might because they're in Dallas, Texas, and Jordynne Grace lives in Texas as well, so it's a nice send off if they decided to do that way. They could add another match for her, but other than that, like, there's not much left for Jordynne Grace as her time is kind of winding down.
Yeah, I mean, I thought this was going to be the send-off match, but it makes more sense to do it at a pay-per-view. I do see in chat that like someone is booked, like she might be booked for Genesis. If she is, that's the day to do it, I think. Yeah,
again, if you make her official debut, if she's moving to WWE, if her official debut is, say, the Royal Rumble, that's February 1st. So you have the time. Again, Genesis makes sense. And maybe the Live Impact to say goodbye because you'll be in San Antonio. You can do a little, send off promo. If they give her a match at Genesis, let her have, a new talent that they've brought in, or if it's Lei Lee, you can have her defeat Jordynne on the way out. Again, I expect whatever it is for Jordynne to go on a bit of not a losing streak, but have her last match be a big loss because you want to go out, making someone else look good.
Yeah, and I could see whoever she gives that rub to, Jialing Lee. Is it Jialing Lee or Jialing Lee?
Lei Lee.
Lei Ling Lee.
Yeah, I do it too. Lei Ying Lee.
I'm gonna try to get it, y'all. Bear with me, okay? If she puts her over, I could immediately see her filling that other muscle mommy spot. You know what I mean? TNA has always had two muscle mommies at the top, whether it's Awesome Kong and Grace or Grace and Deanna, Masha and Grace. So she's really built. So I wouldn't be upset at it. And beating Masha is not Masha, I apologize. Beating Grace is no easy feat. So to have her do that, I wouldn't be mad at her in the main event scene. Or Savannah Evans, who, she comes up in the next segment. She says she's tired of waiting her turn. What a better way to introduce another big woman or reintroduce another big woman than have Savannah Evans say, you on your way out, get the hell up out of here. So
I see someone in the chat mentioning Kylan King. That's a good shout. But again, we don't know because Kylan's been out with an ACL tear for almost a year, and you don't know how quickly someone comes back for that. Again, it's a couple months away. Hopefully if I had my way, she'd be back tomorrow at the tapings. But for now, we can only deal with the hands we've got. And again, Kylan's available. That's a great shout. We'll see. But for now, with Jordynne Grace, it's kind of like the starting to sunset the Jordynne Grace TNA partnership. It's just it's ending. And that's fine. Now we move on to Masha and what's next for her. Clearly, you've got Savannah Evans. You've got Lei Ying Lee. You're going to have other people who start rising up the ranks in the Knockouts division. So we're looking forward to whatever happens next. Jody Threat, Danny Luna are two other ones that once they drop those tag titles at the next show, because that's probably going to happen.
Stop with your soothsaying, because every time you say it, it comes to pass, Joel.
Regardless, when that happens, you'll probably see Jody Threat and Danny Luna start to work in the singles division because they've already put together their newest, thrown together tag team, and that's Reckless Elegance. We'll talk about them in a little bit. But you mentioned the next next segment was Gia Miller with Savannah Evans, and she basically just says, she's a big deal. She's tired of waiting for opportunities. But my only takeaway from this, and this is not a slight at Savannah Evans because she's actually really, really nice. It feels, and I've given other people shit for this before, so don't at me. Feels like she's trying to act mean, but she's never been mean once in her life. She's like mean mugging, but she's just like, I'm too nice for this shit. It just, the acting wasn't there. That's how I felt. But otherwise, she clearly has a mission statement.
Not you saying you're not a mean girl. Now let's go have marshmallows. We know you're nice.
It's just like, come on.
If she said, shut up, G, I was like, hey.
I feel like if you just like, you do one of these to her and she's just like, that's not nice. And you're like, you're right.
You're right. I'm sorry, Gia Miller. I know you're mean, Gia Miller, but nah, I'm sorry. Not like I agree. Like I believed it because she's 8 feet tall and you cannot teach that.
Yeah, right there. So just go.
I'm so sorry. Like a truck just came running down my where do trucks drive on a street? Thank you. I had a stroke there. It was just so loud. I was like, what is that? You guys can't see because it's sunlight at 10 o'clock in New York City. So don't worry about it.
It's the long sun season. You know, it's just like Alaska where you got that late night darkness.
When people say that New York is bizarro land, this is what they mean.
Yeah. Hey, listen, I live next to a train track. My building is on a train track, so I get it. But also, we have pretty good sound isolation here.
I don't know what you guys can hear or what you guys can't hear. Derailing, fun fact, my microphone will not pick me up when I'm right here, but you could go fart in a can in the bathroom and someone's like, yo, who farted on my microphone? So I'm always very conscious. I stay muting.
Oh, so do I. That's why my board. The best thing I ever got was this road board where I can just toggle my mute on and off and never worry about losing it.
My finger and my hand is on the mute button on the mouse.
Control D if you're on StreamYard. Control D. That mutes it. Yeah. I got you. No, you do this. You gotta use your fingers.
What a nerd. What a nerd.
Audio
what a
nerd. I'm sorry, audio. No DQ match. Rosemary versus Wendy Choo. Rosemary gets the win. Poor big time loser Wendy Choo. Loses at Bound for Glory. Lost the next week on NXT in a casket match against Tatum Paxley. Lost again tonight. Poor woman. She just can't catch a break. And tonight she gets laid out. That's it. It's over. No more Wendy Choo in TNA at least. They did the mic cord choke. They choked with the staff, did Rosemary. They did some pillow play, and then Rosemary bites Wendy Choo's hand and then hits as above, so below. That's the name of the finisher. It's basically the angel's wings. No, it's not. It's the wing clipper. I keep messing that up. The wing clipper. And then gets the assist with the cane and then gives her a kiss goodbye. This match was what it was.
Thanks, TNA. I thought you were supposed to put people over. That's what I'd be saying if I was Wendy Choo. Only disappointment about this match is Ray Raw insinuated that the pillow could be loaded, and it was not. So, false advertising, you'll be hearing from my lawyers.
I was told that pillow was always loaded.
It seemed like a regular pillow here.
Tonight, it was loaded with my hopes and dreams.
If I'm Wendy Choo, I am hiring Smart, Mark Sterling, and I'm filing a lawsuit.
He's a little busy with something else.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. He's doing stuff in Impact. Not Impact, I'm sorry, Ring of Honor. Wrong show. And sometimes Collision on Saturday nights, where you can find Cresta Star reviewing the show with a mix of Iridian and maybe Riccacino. Sometimes it's just me. No, I'm kidding. Sometimes it's Rob. No, we got to put you on a solo stream for that stuff. That'd be great. That'd be fan. Can you imagine a show with just me talking about wrestling? We'd be done in 10 minutes and we wouldn't talk about wrestling at all. Sounds like a great show, honestly. I think that's a pretty good viewership. You heard it here first, Shawn. Book it. We'll start you on Select. Macklin is backstage and he calls Josh Alexander a chicken shit. And I'm like, hell yeah. I shouldn't be, but I am. And then he makes reference to the boss not helping Josh in the back anymore. And I'm like, oh, that's a fun little background thing that I don't know how I feel about. This is fine. They're going to run this match back eventually. They're also going to run back the the 6-man tag next week on the show because Northern Armory will hopefully be able to get into the country this time. They didn't make it to Detroit for Bound for Glory for whatever reason. I'm not saying they couldn't make it into the country. They didn't make it to Detroit for Bound for Glory. They're hopefully going to make it to Fayetteville for the tapings because otherwise they got to push that 6-man tag again. And I hope they don't. And he says it's not over. I'll see Macklin on Sunday. I'll ask him all about it. How about that? Josh Alexander tweeted in response to this, and he just laughed and said, I haven't beat you. Roll the tape. I'm like, yeah, he kind of got you there because he beat you a bunch and then went away. So, I do agree. You guys, you zip tied him. That was a chicken shit move. However, they tried to set you free that one time and you still fought. So, I don't know whose fault that one is. Bully Ray, not now. Get out of here.
I misspoke. I said I'd see Macklin this Sunday. I'm seeing him next Sunday at Northern Crown in Toronto.
Well, I do know that I do like this anti-hero Macklin. I don't know what we're going to do with Josh Alexander, but you do need to stop zip tie him. That does seem a little, bully.
Yeah, why would you do the zip tying? You got to use some real handcuffs if you're going to do it.
I mean, but you've beaten him straight before. You ain't even got to do all that.
Nah, use the handcuffs. It's more.
You don't want to see him, Macklin. I'm trying to help you.
What's he going to do? Talk to me about it?
Use the handcuffs on you, sir.
I feel like his wife would have a problem with that.
Next segment, because anything I have to say is not going to be helped.
The Rascals are backstage. You think anyone actually listens to us? I often wonder how many people are like, listen, if you've been listening up to this point, chat, you can leave whatever emoji you want. Comment in the chat. Comment after the fact. Leave a comment on the video. Just be like, well, we made it this far. Just say we made it this far.
We made it this far.
We made it this far. That's all I care about. And then the Rascals have their segment. It's all Miley Cyrus lyrics. They literally cut an entire promo using Miley Cyrus lyrics. Good for them. And then they get stoned because they're in the treehouse. And that was that. It's Rascal rebound season and they have weed. What are your thoughts on this? Because I'm sure you enjoyed it quite a lot too.
Wow, that's crazy. I too enjoy the solidarity with them with weed. I'm kidding. And that's OUID because I'm French. Oui.
It's one hell of a way to put it.
Chanticleer.
Nope. Don't even start. Nope. Not even close.
I'm sorry to our French listeners. Our one French listener, Joe Pearl.
Yeah, I was going to say, you really want to say that to the actual guy who speaks French or what? What are we doing?
Our one French listener. Thank you, Joe Pearl, for being a supporter.
Listening back to anyway. This is fine. It was good. I'm looking forward to the Rascals coming back and getting back on track because that was the one thing that was like, it was so exciting when they had the stuff with NXT and with Wesley and the story that they told. I feel like Trey kind of got pushed to the side, which was a little frustrating for several reasons. But now they're going to try and put them back on track, let them back into the tag division, let them work with the Hardys, do something with them, and see where it all goes. I'm not wanting anyone to turn on anyone. I just want to see the Rascals back to being the Rascals in the ring.
I agree with that. I'm not mad at the Rascals coming back. I was going to ask you, do you think we see a third Rascal? Well, obviously not.
It'd be a fifth Rascal at this point.
I was thinking maybe Myron Reed comes back, but I don't know how we feel about that or what's the deal with him. I just know he was in the Rascals at one point.
So one thing I should have mentioned is congratulations to Myron Reed because he and Killer Kelly had their first child. They had a daughter on Sunday.
Congratulations.
I want to wish them well. Want to give them congratulations. Yeah, they just had their kid. Myron is always welcome as far as I understand it. So listen, I'd love to see him when he's available and when he wants to come around. But yeah, I don't know. Don't know what the plan is for Myron Reed, but he's always a Rascal. They've never said he's not a Rascal. They've always said they've said the four of them have never worked together, and they'd love to do that in an unaired interview from time ago that I can't talk about. But anyway, point is, this is something that I'd like to see, and maybe they do fill the fourth chair. But I don't know if they want to do that. I don't know if they want to just let the Rascals live as the Rascals.
I mean, not for nothing. There is a hole in the tag division right now with ABC being sidelined. So the Rascals coming back as a strong tag team, wouldn't be mad at that.
We'll see. We will see. First Class are backstage. Oh, no, I messed this one. Joe Hendry. Joe Hendry comes out, and he has a new song. He's Nick Nemeth's brother. The end.
What a perfect roast. Out of all the things, not Nick Nemeth, all the things Joe Hendry has done, this by far is the most disrespectful next to "Can you please get fired?" He was like, we're going to have the overrun. I found all his accomplishments. He's Nick Nemeth's brother. The end. Wow. If I'm Nick Nemeth, if I'm Ryan Nemeth, I'm going backstage and we're having a good old-fashioned fisticuff or a Donnybrook because that was disrespectful. It
was good. I liked it. The match is set for next week. Ryan Nemeth versus Joe Hendry. Joe Hendry has the mic flag that he had from NXT. They've moved that over to TNA, which is fun. It actually looks better on TNA than it did on NXT. The NXT one looked beat up. I don't know. I can't explain it, but it's fine. It's just, these are again little production nitpicks that I pick up because it's just the thing I know. First Class are backstage taken up to Mike Santana. AJ Francis puts over Mike Santana, says he has great respect for him, says it, and then he says it pays to have friends and offers him a spot with First Class, and Santana rejects the offer and then basically tells him buzz off. And then AJ tells Casey to go take care of it, and Casey Navarro's just like, huh? This is great.
Raggy, what do you mean?
Why me?
I mean, honestly, I didn't know what AJ Francis was going to say, but when Santana said, before you say anything, I need you to really think about what you said. And then he offered him First Class. I was like, yo, he's going to beat both of y'all up right now. And then the plot twist, KC go handle that.
What would you think that's a plot twist where everyone's just like, yeah, that sounds about right.
I mean, it's fair. I knew it was coming too when he said that. I was like, but at the same time, AJ Francis, Casey can't look that man in the eye, and you can. What are we doing here? That's not Casey. Now's the time to turn. If you turn, no one with that and I.
At this point, AJ Francis has just become like the gatekeeper to the world championship contenders, because now they're probably going to do AJ Francis versus Mike Santana at WrestleCade, and like, okay, that's fine. It'll be what it is. But yeah, that's good. Good for them.
I would say that not so much. I lost my train of thought. Never mind. I'm sure.
Yeah, you read that too, eh? No, the point is, it'll be if they do AJ Francis and or if they don't do it during the tapings, then they might just do it at WrestleCade, and that's fine. Mike Santana and AJ Francis match is very much a hey, look at us, we're at WrestleCade type of match.
Listen, I'm not mad at it, but maybe I'm an AJ Francis hater. I do enjoy seeing him get beat up because he's mad tall, and he be taking why are you taking a one-winged angel and you're 9'9"? That is hilarious to me.
The more I think about it, though, I think I'd rather do the Hardys versus First Class. And I think I've been talking about that for a while. So I think maybe we'll just do Hardys and First Class. You know, do Santana versus Moose for the X Division Championship? I'm fine with that, too.
That's kind of funny.
And then you let
kind of funny.
But I don't want to have Santana have options. See, I again, there's some things on the table that I'm like, maybe. Feels like Moose is an option C. Oh no. Santana's gonna win the world title at Genesis, and then Moose is gonna option C the X Division Championship on Santana.
And then John Bradshaw Layfield's gonna come out.
Oh no. Jables is already like that turn's happening before the end of the year.
Oh, Jables. I can realize what you just like. What the?
Oh, you don't call him Jables? Yeah, he's Jables.
You're a funny guy.
He's JBL. They've called him Jables on WWE. But anyway, Jables is he's gonna come back, and then they're gonna finally do the heel turn for Nemeth soon enough.
I'm with it because I mean Ryan Nemeth yelling backstage, it was on purpose. Doesn't make any sense when that wasn't what was happening. So
yeah, he's gonna cash an option C on Santana in January. Have fun with that. Yeah, so Dex saying in the chat, I want to see First Class in the Hardy compound. That is a very good shout. I would love to see that too.
To quote First Class, instead of it being money, that's going to be funny.
And if there's anyone who would make that so fun, it's AJ Francis. He would
all for them.
He would get it. He would, and I'm not saying Casey wouldn't, but like AJ is that type of guy that he would think up and look at stuff and just be like, we can do this, we can do that, make me look stupid. Like he'd have all the fun in doing that. So you know what? I'm in. Let's do it. Hardy compound, First Class. Don't know when you would shoot it. I'm sure they're going to be in North Carolina anyway. So that would be a fun Impact main event. I would love that.
I'm not mad at that. Now I can imagine them both doing funny.
Oh, I love it. I know you're watching TNA. You know what I want. Show this to AJ. Show someone. I know one of you will.
It would pop me personally if y'all did that. Just know that I would DM you. You've heard it. I would DM you AJ Francis if y'all did that on TNA, and I would just the smiley laughing face emoji. Funny. I would laugh.
I'm just
pop me personally.
I'm just gonna clip this and send it to him instead. I'm just gonna do it myself. Jody threat defeats Heather by elegance. Ash gets involved. Danny backs off Ash. The hesitation basement dropkick from Heather rules. She knows how to wrestle. We already knew this. Jody wins with the pop shove it. They're 1-1 in singles for these two tag teams. I'm sure we're going to do this at the pay-per-view, at the PLE, at the whatever they're calling it, the special. So see you at WrestleCade.
I mean, it's fine. It just proves that the Elegance crew, unless you cheat a lot, you ain't winning. So
next week is Hendry versus Ryan Nemeth, Santana versus Casey Navarro, and then they're going to run back, like I said, Northern Armory versus Macklin, Alexander, and Gresham. That's not right. Not Alexander. Who is this? I write Macklin, EY, and Gresham. At one point, they were friends. Not anymore.
We used to be best buddies, and now we're not.
Why did I write down Eric? I didn't write down Eric Young. I wrote down, I'm so used to Macklin and Alexander being on the same side. I don't know. I'm done. And they're running Nick Nemeth versus Brian Myers because we're doing Nemeth versus Edwards. Good for them.
Okay, work, Diva.
I'm sure Edwards will get involved and get DQ'd.
Trust the system.
And the system will do their thing. And yeah, we talked about Moose versus Speedball. I do want to talk about one thing. I want to get your thoughts on this. So WWE had a few people depart, or at least departing, right? You've got Baron Corbin, you've got the former Tegan Knox, Nixon Newell, and you also have Indy Hartwell. Not sure how familiar you are with all of them, but are any of those three names, if you are familiar with them, ones that you think would thrive in TNA or be good for TNA?
So I'm familiar with all three. Personally speaking, I don't like Baron Corbin's character. I don't want to see him on my screen. That's personally. So objectively speaking, I think he'd be fine in TNA. He is somebody who would do, I could see him doing some system stuff. He's a JDC. He's a good wrestler. I just personally don't care for him. Tegan Knox, that poor girl. She's such a good wrestler. When I first started seeing her wrestle, she blew her first knee. And then when she started wrestling again, she blew her next knee. I think in TNA, she put on some bangers, even in AEW. But I don't know what she wants to do if she wants to take her time. Indy Hartwell, she would be amazing in TNA. Oh my God. I can see her joining Ash by Elegance and then be like, I don't know what's happening, actually. She would be fantastic. I think she'd be fantastic here, and eventually she could go to AEW. I think out of all three of those names, Indy Hartwell would have the most to gain, and she would be fantastic. I could totally see her doing remember when Chelsea Green was in TNA? And she was like, was it The Influence or no, that was Emma and Madison Rain. But I could see her doing that same thing, or what she was doing with Deonna Purrazzo before she left. I think Indy Hartwell has some banger matches in her. I would love to see Tegan Knox do something, but I don't know what she wants to do. And Baron Corbin, like I said, I think in TNA he'd be fine. Just subjectively speaking, I don't care for his character. What do you think about those three people? So,
half jokingly, I said the Corbin TNA World Championship agenda is on.
All right, so I'm gonna pull a Kate and leave.
I think Corbin's a good fit for a place like TNA. I don't think Nick Nemeth is long to stick around, but I could be wrong. Again, they like him. He likes it there. And I don't know what his plans are moving forward, because I don't know, how far can you really go when you come in, you win the world title in your first year, and you've been wrestling for the last nearly 20? Like, you've been around for a while. So I don't know what Nick Nemeth's plans are. We've talked about it here before. Nemeth got the Trinity contract, which was essentially, we have so much money allotted for one super duper major player, and Trinity left, so let's pass it to Nick. And that's what they did. I don't know when Nick Nemeth's contract is up. I don't know if it's out there, but if they're getting to that point and Nick is moving on, Baron Corbin's the next guy I would call up. I just would, because I think it'd be funny as hell, and I think he'd be a good world champion.
Baron Corbin versus Moose would be the stupidest, dumbest, but the best match you could have.
It'll be fantastic. But yeah, that's the thing. Corbin's not passionate about the business, but he doesn't have to be. Moose isn't passionate about the business either. You ever see him give an interview? He didn't give a shit. And that's not a slight at Moose. Some people love talking to the media. Some people don't. I agree that your top guy should want to talk to media at all times and want to be that out there. Cody Rhodes, the Seth Rollins is not Roman Reigns. He didn't want to do it. But the point is, like, you want those types of front people for your company. I understand that. And Corbin, he can do it. Actually, you know what? I shouldn't even say that he's not, because he absolutely loves doing those media scrums. Like, he has fun when you do them. So he's not going to say no. He's not Nick Nemeth in that regard. He doesn't put himself out there the same way Nick does. But when Corbin did it for WWE, he was always having a good time. So I don't know. He's someone that I could see, but also they're about to run into a need to revamp their knockouts division is TNA. So I would like to see, if possible, Indy Hartwell with Steph DeLander at one point. That's a knockouts tag team that I wouldn't mind seeing together again, because at one point, if you remember, Persia Parada, Indy Hartwell, they were friends in NXT. You can call back to that stuff. There's little things that you can do with that. Tegan Nox, don't know what to expect from her. She's going to be wrestling in December in the UK, but I don't know what her long-term plans are. I'm sure she wants to wrestle wherever she can if she decides to keep wrestling. So that's kind of where I'm at. But I know that there were a lot of people who were like, this person go to AEW, this person should go to AEW. And I'm like, I don't think people necessarily need to go to AEW. I think there's enough wrestling out there that if you want to be a workhorse, again, TNA is that place where you work twice a month and the rest of the time you do whatever you want. So it's entirely up to the talent, but that's kind of where I'm at with that.
Yeah, no, totally agree. Because I'm thinking like a Tegan Nox versus Tasha Steelz would slap. Or whenever Killer Kelly comes back, Tegan Nox versus Killer Kelly would slap too. So, whatever they decide to do, I hope the best. I think all three would be a fit in TNA. And I do think that TNA is one of those unique wrestling places where you could wrestle at TNA and do something completely out of the box and out of the bucket, no one would bat an eye. And you could, like you say, you can work, you can do all these other things,
Yeah, exactly. Listen, they ran back an old match tonight because of, they had to cut one match from taping, so we won't get into that. But other than that, that was TNA for tonight. We're on the road to a taping. They start tomorrow night in Fayetteville for North Carolina for the next 4 weeks of tapings. They tape tonight and tomorrow night. Well, tomorrow night and the next night. My brain hurts. Cresta Star, what you got going on?
My brain too also hurts. Hi, my name is Cresta. Like Joel said at the beginning of our show, the ats at the bottom, don't pay attention to that because I will be shutting down my Twitter as well. You can find me over on Blue Sky, Cresta Star. All forms of social media is going to be Cresta Star. Every Wednesday, I'm over live on Twitch. Live on Twitch and TikTok, we watch AEW Dynamite together. And every Thursday and Saturday, you can find me here over on Fightful. Thursday, we cover TNA, myself, and the beautiful Joel Pearl. And every Saturday, I'm with Iridian, Rick, or some combination of myself and someone. Or I'm just there doing AEW Collision with you. If that was a lot, there's a link tree in my bio on Twitter, which it is Cresta the Star. And you can find the past shows all in my I have a playlist. I couldn't think of what the name is. Joel Pearl, take us home. Where can people find you?
For clarification, when she said you, she didn't mean me. I don't do the AEW Collision post show. I got my own stuff going on. I just wanted to, just in case. I mean, listen, some people.
I got my own stuff going on.
Yeah, I got my own stuff. I don't really have much going on. I have Monday, Wednesday, and Friday over on the Fightful Overbooked, our sister channel. Jeremy Lambert and I'm so. Jeremy and I Lambert. Like, this is where we're at right now.
It's late. It's 11 o'clock.
I'm done. It's over. Jeremy Lambert and I go in the weeds 10 a.m. Eastern, Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Like I mentioned, we had a couple of guests on Wednesday and had a very interesting show. So go check that out. And tomorrow we're going to talk a little bit about NXT and AEW because they ran concurrently. It'll be fun. There'll be a lot of talk about a lot of stuff tomorrow as we do every week. And we're back here on Thursday to talk about TNA Impact and a whole slew of other stuff. If you haven't already, go subscribe to Fightful Select, the best $5 in the business. For Cresta Star, I am Joel Pearl. I got to get rid of the @ because you can find me on Blue Sky and Threads. It's still the same name, still the same face. Well, I don't know if I'll talk about wrestling, but till next time, ladies and gentlemen, friends beyond the binary, we'll see you in the next one. Cheers.